Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies saw a massive pump last week in the middle of a brutal bear market that's lasted for the past year and a half. People are desperately looking for signs of life in the crypto space, and last week we definitely got some. There was a major announcement that injected significant hope into the marketplace that could paint a picture for a bright future for crypto and could push us to much higher prices in the not too distant future. I'm going to explain exactly why in this video today as a blockchain developer myself who works this technology on a daily basis. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to this channel. And if you want to become a blockchain developer, step-by-step start to finish, break into the blockchain industry, I can show you that over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, so let's talk about the big crypto pump that happened last week. Most likely the biggest reasons for this and how this could potentially push us to much higher prices in the not too distant future. Of course, nothing I'm saying in this video is designed to be financial advice, not telling you to buy or sell any cryptocurrency based on this information. I'm also not promising any future returns. But there are two big things that you have to understand. So number one is that we just saw a brand new ETF application in the United States for the $10 trillion asset manager BlackRock. And this actually could be a much bigger deal than meets the eye on the surface. I'll explain that through the rest of this video. But additionally, we saw some comments from Fed Chair Jerome Powell, where he testified before lawmakers saying that crypto appears to have staying power as an asset class, and that they see stable coins as a form of money. Now, both of these fueled some short-term hope into the marketplace in the past week, but I want to really drill down on the ETF side of things and how this could actually be a pretty big deal that could sustain us to much higher prices in the not too distant future. All right, so let's start off with what is an ETF in the first place. So this stands for Exchange Traded Fund. So I'm not going to get into the full details of exactly how that works. It works a little bit like an index fund or a mutual fund, but the big picture is that whatever assets are in the exchange traded fund, you can buy them and sell them on an exchange just like a stock. So essentially you're buying and selling shares of the fund rather than whatever assets backing up that fund itself. So let's take an example from traditional finance right now, like a gold ETF. If you look up the GLD ticker, all right, that is an exchange traded fund. And when you buy it, you're not actually buying like physical bars of gold. You're just buying shares of the ETF. And you can trade it freely on an exchange, just like you would a stock. And what we're seeing last week is BlackRock applying for a Bitcoin exchange traded fund or ETF. Basically, the whole idea is that people could go onto an exchange and just buy shares in BlackRock's ETF rather than buying actual Bitcoins themselves. So why is this a big deal? Like, why are people so excited about this? So you have to understand, people have been talking about ETFs in the crypto space for a very long time, particularly for Bitcoin, and talking about how the, approval of spot ETFs for Bitcoin in the United States could have a huge impact on the price of Bitcoin itself. And one of the reasons is the historical precedent and the analogy for what happened to gold. Okay, I mentioned the GLD ticker before, talking about how ETFs work. Well, basically, the first gold ETF launched in March 2003, all right, on Australian Securities Exchange, and quickly expanded from there. And basically, you can see what happened to the price of gold, over the next several years. It climbed like crazy for the better part of a decade. And there's thoughts that a similar thing could happen with Bitcoin once an ETF is approved. But why, you might ask? Okay, you have to actually understand the fundamentals. You can't just copy and paste history of something else and apply it to this new case without explaining what the actual, link is between the two things, okay? So first of all, you have to understand who BlackRock is and what has to happen behind the scenes in order to make the ETF work. So first of all, to make a Bitcoin ETF, BlackRock actually has to go out on the marketplace and buy the Bitcoins that are going to back up the shares in the ETF. And this could put significant buy pressure on Bitcoin itself and really move the needle of the price once it's approved and when they have to buy the assets to make this thing go live. And you have to connect that and speculate on how much Bitcoin BlackRock might actually want to purchase. So just to understand the magnitude of this, let's look at how much money BlackRock has under management right now. So if you're not familiar with who BlackRock is, they are an asset manager. They're massive size. They serve many institutional clients, and they have $10 trillion of assets under management. Let me repeat that, $10 trillion. And I want to put that in perspective and talk about why this is such a big deal, okay? Sometimes when you start talking about really big numbers, your brain just sort of checks out and goes, oh, that's big, and doesn't really get the magnitude and the connection. But $10 trillion is roughly 10 times the size of the entire cryptocurrency market cap right now. Okay, said another way, it's worth more than 10 times all the cryptocurrency that's out there on the face of the planet. And if you really want to visualize this, take your web browser, go to CoinGecko.com, open up 10 new browser windows and look at them all on the same page. And that you're just looking at a snapshot of how much value that BlackRock has under management. And I'm gonna give you a little hint. BlackRock does not want to stay a $10 trillion asset management firm. They want to grow much bigger than that. And I've got a feeling that crypto is a major part of that strategy. And I don't know exactly how much crypto they could buy, but it could be significant. Let's just, for example purposes, say that 1% of their assets under management go into crypto. Okay, that's honestly a pretty prudent investment strategy for a large portfolio. Well, then that would be 10% of the entire cryptocurrency market cap in buy pressure for crypto in the middle of this brutal bear market. So again, I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen. The whole point is they're massive, and this could do a lot to push the price of crypto upwards. So yeah, BlackRock has to go out there and buy all the Bitcoins for its fun, but then you have to look at the external demand for it. So this opens the door for lots of people to participate in crypto a lot easier. So a couple different profiles. One is, people who are just in traditional finance who want to buy shares of something rather than the actual thing itself. Okay. And the other is opening the door for institutions to participate in crypto. And that's actually a pretty big deal. I'll talk about that here in a minute. And another important thing is that this is not the first time that we've seen a Bitcoin ETF, a spot ETF applied for in the United States, and it's technically not the first actual ETF. We've seen futures ETFs, but spot is different. We still haven't seen one approved to date. Many have gotten rejected. In fact, 2 other ETFs are being reapplied for at the same time as BlackRock. One is from Invesco and the other is from Wisdom Tree. And it's also important to note that Invesco has $1.5 trillion of assets under management, which is larger than total crypto market cap right now. And the other big important thing to realize here is that though a lot of these, applications have gotten rejected by the SEC, there's good reason to believe that BlackRock's latest application will satisfy the market surveillance and disclosure requirements demanded by the SEC. And if that's the case, then they could actually push this thing through and become the first spot Bitcoin ETF in the United States, which would be a massive deal. Now, I will instantly hear some objections to this, okay? Some people are going to say, hey, it's not really that big of a deal because anybody who really wants to buy Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, there's still ways to do it, even if you don't want to buy it on an ETF, okay? Now, I have some specific counter arguments to that I want to lay out right now. And the first has to do with incentives, okay? So you could actually incentivize people to buy Bitcoin through an ETF if there are tax advantage ways for them to do that. So if you have really specific taxable accounts in the United States where you contribute pre-tax money and it's got all these rules associated with it, and you have availability to let, a financial planner or something like that who has control of the assets that you're not touching to authorize purchases of Bitcoin through ETF, you're tax incentivizing people to potentially buy cryptocurrency that way in a way that they may not really be able to do it if they just have to register for a cryptocurrency exchange or something like that. So that's a huge incentive. And of course, the other is ease of access. So there's gonna be lots of people who are in traditional finance, right, who might have a traditional brokerage account, or maybe you could even purchase Bitcoin ETF shares through your online bank. So this would be a little bit more of a long tail strategy that could encompass more people who don't want to sign up for a wallet, get on an exchange, which I think could have some significant impact. But the bigger one is for institutions, all right? And this is something that you have to understand. The ETFs can be a massive deal for institutions to buy more crypto, because an ETF is going to be a much more straightforward way for them to do this and is likely going to increase institutional adoption. And BlackRock is proof positive that the institutions are here and want demand. Okay, there's no way that a highly intelligent $10 trillion asset management firm like BlackRock is just, YOLO gambling and taking a massive risk for this Bitcoin ETF. It's an indication that institutions want the exposure and they're one of the best ways to do it. And don't underestimate what institutions can do for the crypto markets, okay? Because institutions can buy crypto in size in a way that you or I cannot do. So said a different way, they can move the needle in a way that you or I cannot really do, okay? So let's take it for example. Let's say that you and I are, on a normal scale, if you're just sitting around the table with your buddies, let's say you're a whale, right? Like an average Joe whale. So you could buy $1 million of Bitcoin, okay? That's pretty impressive, right? So if you bought $1 million of Bitcoin, it would not do anything to the price of Bitcoin, okay? And let's say that you got 10 of your buddies who also had $1 million to buy Bitcoin. It still wouldn't do anything, okay? But if you have an institution come in and buy billions of dollars in Bitcoin repeatedly over and over again, that can move the price of Bitcoin. And so for this reason, institutions are a significant part of the equation for watching the price go up. And also a little exercise in magnitude. Okay, earlier I was talking about how you need to take your CoinGecko screen and put it on your monitor 10 times to visualize this. Think about it this way. If you bought $1 million of Bitcoin and somebody buys $1 billion of Bitcoin, $1 billion is 1,000 million. All right, I'm gonna say that again. $1 billion is 1,000 million dollars. It's some people's dream to become a millionaire. You'd have to become a millionaire 1,000 times over in order to be a billionaire. That's the magnitude of what institutions are capable of. All right, so those are the fundamental reasons why I think the Bitcoin ETF actually could be a pretty significant deal for the asset class itself. And I don't think that this green candle we saw in the past week is really all just hopium. Okay, I think there's some fundamentals that could really materially push the price, forward. And so if BlackRock has to go out there and buy all this Bitcoin, we don't know how big it's going to be. It could put some significant buying pressure on the asset itself and could, at least get us out of this resistance that we've seen right here and push us towards the next leg higher in the crypto markets, okay? Which if I was looking at this from my limited technical analysis, again, I'm not trying to be some TA genius on this channel, but it doesn't take a genius to see that this is sort of the next level, the next boss to defeat before we get up to this level, okay? So this would be about $40,000. And honestly, the trend that we've been seeing since the beginning of the year has been, mostly up. We see some healthy corrections here and there. This does typically coincide with some bad news. But if you look at this line right here, this is the bull market support band. The moving averages have crossed over each other, but it's reasonably held this as support since the beginning of the year. And if we see the fundamentals continue to improve and the institutions actually come into play, then we could see this push us to the next level of $40,000, maybe even up to $50,000. Now, again, it's not financial advice. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take place, but these are the types of fundamentals that lay the groundwork for this even being possible, right? It's not just a bunch of degen gamblers, at home, just hoping to push the price up. This is the actual type of stuff that can take us to the next wave. All right, so that's an overview of the BlackRock ETF that was applied for last week, why the market is interpreting this as such bullish news, and how I think this actually does have some pretty significant fundamentals that could paint a bright future for crypto in the coming months. So I hope you like this video. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That helps these videos out so the more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fast into this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find those free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you went to the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, actually become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You really don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.